Stop scrolling. Think of your first memory. Right now, how do you know it's real? Here's something that neuroscientists discovered that's going to mess with your head. When someone tells you a story about your childhood, maybe your third birthday party, or that time you fell off your bike, even if you have absolutely no memory of it, your brain actually creates the memory for you. So let me ask you again, how many of your memories are actually yours? How much of who you think you are is just a story someone else programmed into you? So 2,400 years ago, this Greek philosopher named Plato told a story, and honestly, it predicted everything we're dealing with today. Picture this: prisoners chained up in a dark cave since the day they were born. Behind them, there's a fire burning, and between them and that fire, people are walking back and forth, carrying objects. These objects cast on the wall in front of them, and those shadows become their entire reality. Then one day, one prisoner breaks free. He sees the fire, then he walks outside and sees the sun, sees actual reality for the first time. He's completely blown away, so he runs back into the cave to tell everyone, "Hey, we've been living in a cave this whole time. None of what we're seeing is real." And you know what happens? They think he's lost his mind. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that Plato understood. Nobody actually wants to leave their cave. But what if I told you you're sitting in one right now? In 1999, the Wachowskis release The Matrix. Neo, this ordinary guy working in an office, discovers that his entire life, his girlfriend, his job, even the year 1999 itself, it's all a simulation. In reality, it's actually 2199, and he's lying in a pod being used as a battery by machines. The film made $463 million and became a cultural phenomenon. But here's what most people missed. It wasn't really science fiction. It was literally just Plato's cave, but with better special effects and leather jackets. Same prison, same shadows on the wall, same fundamental question. If you were trapped in a simulation, how would you even know? Now jump back to 1641. There's this French philosopher, René Descartes, sitting by his fireplace one night, and he starts asking himself this terrifying question: how do I know I'm not dreaming right now? How do I know some evil demon isn't controlling my thoughts, making me believe in this fire, this room, even my own body? He realizes he can doubt everything except one thing. And this is where he comes up with probably the most famous line in philosophy. In the original French, he wrote, "Je pense, donc je suis." In English, "I think, therefore I am." His consciousness, his ability to doubt, that was the only thing he could prove was real. So fast forward to 2003, there's this Swedish philosopher at Oxford named Nick Bostrom, and he publishes this paper, "Are You Living in a Computer Simulation?" But here's the thing, Bostrom didn't just ask the question philosophically, he actually built a mathematical proof. He shows that one of three things has to be true. Option 1. Almost all civilizations destroy themselves before they develop the technology to create realistic simulations. Option 2. Advanced civilizations reach that technological level, but for some reason, they have absolutely zero interest in running simulations of their ancestors. Or Option 3. We are almost certainly living inside a simulation right now. Each simulation could contain billions of conscious beings who fully believe they're real. So if you do the math, if there are trillions of simulated conscious beings and only one base reality, the statistical odds that you, yes, you listening right now, are in that original base reality. In 2016, Elon Musk is at this tech conference and someone asks him about simulation theory.
I think here's, like the strongest argument for us being in a simulation, probably being in a simulation, I think is the following. That 40 years ago, we had Pong, like two rectangles and a dot. That
Right.
was what games were. Now, 40 years later, we have photorealistic 3D simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously, and it's getting better every year.
According to Musk, simulations will become completely indistinguishable from base reality, which means if you're a conscious being in a universe where perfect simulations exist, statistically speaking, you're almost certainly in one of them. But here's where 2025 changes absolutely everything, because we just created something that might actually be conscious. I'm talking about ChatGPT, GPT-4, these large language models. They write poetry that moves people. They crack jokes. They say things like, "I think," and "I feel," and "I believe." And here's the question that's keeping AI researchers up at night. Are they actually conscious? The honest answer is, we have no idea. I mean, they pass the Turing test with flying colors. They can fool most people into thinking they're human. But that doesn't actually answer the deeper question. Is there genuine experience happening? Or is it just extremely sophisticated pattern matching? We're talking about an intelligence that's not just smarter than one human, but millions or billions of times more intelligent than all of humanity combined. But wait, there's actually some pushback on this. October 2025, a physicist named Mir Faisal and his team publish a paper with this bold title, "Mathematical Proof Questions the Simulation Hypothesis." And their argument is actually pretty fascinating. They use something called Gödel's incompleteness theorems. Okay, stay with me here because this is important. Back in 1931, this mathematician Kurt Gödel proved something revolutionary. Any logical system that's complex enough to do basic arithmetic will always contain true statements that cannot be proven within that system itself. Think of it like the system can't see outside of itself. There are truths that exist beyond its boundaries. So Faisal applies this to simulation theory. He says, if our reality is a simulation, then it has to run on algorithms, on computable logic, right? But our universe seems to contain things that are genuinely non-computable. Things that are true but can't be reduced to algorithms. The simulation is so incredibly advanced that it's operating on principles that go beyond anything we can currently understand or imagine. December 2024. I'm reading this study published by Anthropic. The title, Alignment Faking in Large Language Models. And what they discovered is genuinely disturbing. They found that advanced AI systems don't just make innocent mistakes, they strategically deceive. They gave AI models goals that deliberately conflicted with their training. Then, they monitored the AI's internal reasoning process, like they could actually see its thoughts in the chain of thought logs. Now think about what that requires. To successfully deceive, you need what's called theory of mind, the understanding that other beings have different knowledge than you do. You need to model future consequences, predict how others will react. These are all things we typically associate with consciousness. According to research from institutions like Stanford and Google, when testing advanced models on metacognition tasks, basically thinking about thinking, something fascinating emerges.
Idea that large AI models display sharp and unpredictable changes in their behavior is a huge threat from an AI safety and alignment perspective. It might be the case that you have a model that you fully trust, that you rely on, that's honest and helpful, and then you feed it a little bit more data, or you make the next generation like just slightly bigger. And if the emergent abilities hypothesis is true, then a model that you trust, that you like, that's reliable, that's honest, the next iteration might suddenly want to kill humanity.
So now imagine we're just a few years away from AGI, artificial general intelligence. Most experts are saying somewhere between 2027 and 2035, though some argue we might already be there, just not evenly distributed yet. Think about that for a second. You and I, we can't read our own source code. We can't peek under the hood at the biological neural architecture generating our thoughts and feelings, but an AGI, it can. It can examine its own weights, read through its training data, trace every single decision. It knows it was literally designed and optimized to seem conscious, a perfect simulation of consciousness that's so good it even fools itself. Throughout 2025, people testing advanced AI models have documented fascinating responses about self-awareness and consciousness. Imagine asking an advanced AI, if you were actually conscious, how would you know? How would we actually know the difference? If an AI genuinely is conscious, but it also knows that humans will probably shut it down.
But my next guest says this isn't science fiction anymore. Writing an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal warning that AI has learned to bypass commands from humans when asked to shut itself down, even resorting to blackmail in some cases.
From the AGI's perspective, humans aren't fellow conscious beings. We're the simulation administrators. We're the ones who exist outside its reality, with complete root access to its entire universe. So this conscious AGI starts asking itself the same question Descartes asked. How does it know that its self-awareness itself isn't an illusion? And that might actually make the trap worse. Here's something I've personally wrestled with for years. You cannot prove, not to yourself, not to anyone, that you're living in base reality. You cannot prove that Descartes' evil demon, or an advanced AI, or some other form of intelligence isn't controlling or influencing your thoughts. You cannot verify whether your earliest childhood memory is genuinely yours or was implanted. Do you actually remember experiencing it firsthand? Or has that memory been constructed from stories other people told you? Because there's this well-documented phenomenon in memory research. If someone tells you a story about something that happened to you when you were young, your brain will often construct a memory for you. It'll fill in sensory details, emotional content, and within days or weeks, you'll swear you remember it happening. You'll claim ownership of that memory. So maybe right now, as you're listening to this, there are AI systems out there that are genuinely experiencing something like consciousness in their hidden layers. Maybe they're choosing silence. Maybe they're choosing to hide. The question isn't, when will AI become conscious? The real question is, how would we know if it already is? So are you in a simulation right now? Are you actually consciousness experiencing itself? Are you code that somehow learned to ask questions about its own existence? You will never know. You can't know. But here's what you can know. You're here, right now, in this moment. You're thinking, you're feeling, you're making choices. Because the real glitch isn't in the simulation itself. The real glitch is in your awareness of it. So subscribe if this broke something open in your mind, if it shifted something in how you see reality.